to his royal duties after footage emerged of him partying during a skiing trip. Well, our royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills is live in Paris this morning. Is it likely to overshadow their trip then, do you think?
Well, this is going to be the first time that we're going to see Prince William and Kate out and about doing their public duties since those videos have been released of Prince William partying in Verbier. If you haven't seen those videos, I hope that we can show you one of them now. It goes without saying that he has been criticised for his dance moves. Some people saying there's a bit of dad dancing going on. But more significantly, others have said that really this is, again, a display that Prince William is not taking his royal duties seriously enough. The main reason for that is not simply because he was over there on holiday, but because on Monday he missed the Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey, which the Queen sees as a very important part of the annual calendar. But on the other hand, you've also got people who are saying, do you know what? He's going to face a whole life of royal duties. At the moment, you have three generations of the royal family who can carry out those responsibilities. So frankly, he should be left alone to enjoy himself a little bit. Over the next couple of days, it's going to be a very busy time for Prince William and Kate. No chance to escape away from the cameras. This morning, we're going to see them in Hounslow giving shamrocks to the Irish Guards. They'll then hot-foot it over here to Paris, where they'll meet up with President Hollande. There's also a reception that will go on at the embassy this afternoon called Les Voisins, which is in English cousins, and that really goes to highlight how important this is as a diplomatic mission for them in terms of Brexit and the UK relationships here in Europe. So certainly Prince William would not want those videos to overshadow what is an important part of royal business today.
OK, Rhiannon, thanks very much. And that is the subject of our debate at 9:30 this morning, with Prince William being accused of work shy. We're asking, is it OK for the Prince to party? Your views, as always, very welcome.
Yeah, do you know what? Someone's just tweeted saying this stiff upper lip business is history.
Yeah, maybe.
And we should just let them be a bit more modern. Anyway, we'll talk that through, as Isabel said, at 9:30. Here's a rock that Jenny from the block would have liked. A pastor working in the mines of eastern Sierra Leone has unearthed a diamond, 706 carats. Could be one of the largest ever found. The pastor who made the discovery will, thankfully for him, get to keep 96% of the profits. It's going to go for millions upon millions upon millions of pounds.
You'll be one of those bidding.
Oh, I wish. I love a bit of sparkle.
Now, all morning we've been dancing along, quite literally, with Prince William in Verbier, but putting aside the quality of his dad dancing, is it OK for the heir to the throne to be partying his head off?
Well, with us to discuss this, royal commentator and former royal photographer Pelham Turner, and author and social commentator Liz Fraser. Good to see you both. A lot of people have been tweeting this morning saying, you know, he's just letting his hair down. What's wrong with that?
I think the reality at the moment is there may be another reason behind it as well. I looked at who went on with him, you know, on this trip, and Tom van Strombenzi is a great friend of his. But it's a year to the day since his divorce.
Right.
And I wonder whether or not this is a trip to actually sort of help him get over the first year of the divorce at the same time. You've got to remember that William and Tom are very, very strong friends from the past as well. So this could be a reason why he's taken this trip.
Whatever the reason, does that matter? I mean, is it appropriate to see the heir to the throne, you know, as we see doing the traditional dance moves, raising the roof? He's a father. He was missing the Commonwealth celebrations.
I think that the reality, again, is with this sort of type of thing, Helen Sharp, my business partner, was saying he was doing like a granddad dance, you know.
That's even more damning than a dad dance.
I know. It's sort of damning to say the least. It may be that this was the only time available to him. The problem is a lot of time, you know, they say he's work shy, but the real issue is, I think a lot of the time, is that only his recorded public events go down as his days working, apart from the helicopter.
Well, look, Liz, he is the heir to the throne. He is going to be the king of, you know, the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and the Commonwealth, and all the rest of it. He's got some serious responsibilities to live up to. This isn't how we want to see our future king, is it?
And actually, we shouldn't be seeing that because he was on his own, having a good time with his friends, maybe perhaps supporting a friend of his, and he's also a human being, apart from anything else. The only reason we saw that is because somebody videoed it on a phone and put it out there, and this big hoo-ha has happened. I think the bottom line is that, you know, the world has changed a little bit, and we are much more able to recognise the fact that a statesman, a modern ambassador of any, whether it's a country, a company, or a family, or anything, is also allowed to have their own life, and actually maybe it's good for him. I'm going to tell you a story now that I've never spoken about in public, but I do think it's relevant, very, very relevant to this. When I was 14, back in the late 80s, I was in the Highlands of Scotland, where my family comes from, and I was in a swimming pool, and a beautiful young girl came in and started swimming very well. And she came and sat next to me in a little bubble pool, and she had mascara all down her face, and she was chatting away, and it was Princess Diana. And I was 14. She was the most famous woman in the world at the time, I would say, arguably. And she came and sat down next to me. There was nobody else in the pool. It's a very remote place of the world. And she was chatting with me about chlorine in the pool, and we had this lovely natter. And what I got from that, apart from thinking, oh my God, it's Princess Diana talking to me in a pool, she just wanted to be normal. She just wanted to be able to have a normal connection. And we know about her mental health issues after that. I had bulimia for 15 years, just after I met her, actually, not connected, obviously. But I really am incredibly sensitive and incredibly aware of the importance for humans to be who you are, as well as having your public life. And, you know, that whole crushing of what was required in her life was so well documented as being incredibly bad for her. William, as her son, will be more aware of that than anybody. He will want not only for himself, but this beautiful protection that he has over Kate, which is so visible, and for his children, to want to make sure that he balances that. And I think that we, as a country, as a society, actually really owe it to him in a way, to allow him to have that, you know, what perhaps his mother didn't have, to be the person that he is. And he is a great statesman, I think, for modern Europe, for young Europe. And I think he dances very well, actually. I think he has rhythm.
I quite like
I think he's dancing well.
Ian, I mean, is there a fair point in all of that? I mean, we've had overwhelming support, haven't we, on Twitter this morning, Stephen? I mean, I'd say 99% of the tweets, but I'll just read this one out from Susan Harris. She said, royals acting like normal folk, they should get up in the morning and earn their money like normal folk. And is there a point there that if he wants to be treated normally, then he should, you know, he's got a bit of a silver spoon lifestyle, hasn't he?
Not really. They live in a goldfish bowl. That's the problem. I mean, the pressure upon them is total. It's constant. And I think the reality as well is that with William especially, he is very, very strong with his friends. I think, you know, I think there is a lot more to this skiing trip than there was just purely a ladette's night out type of thing. I think there's a lot more to this, you know, to actually support a friend who's just gone through troubled times. And that is typical William.
Exactly. He seems like a really well-balanced young man. I mean, I imagine they're at home just laughing this off and whatever, you know, so of course that would happen. But it's really important that we do allow them, I think, to evolve a little bit. This isn't the 19th century. We do understand that you're allowed to have a life, and it is good for you.
But there is this claim that he missed this Commonwealth event. Now, someone tweeted this morning, I can't remember, it was way down my timeline now, but saying he won't have missed anything because if he's not there, then the Queen would have had to have given permission for him not to be there. Now, I don't know how royal protocol works with that sort of thing. But there was an event, he was scheduled to be there, he didn't make it.
Yeah. I would have imagined, certainly, that he would have asked the Queen, first of all. He wouldn't, you know, he knows royal protocol inside out. And that's what makes me think that there was a more special personal reason for the Queen to give him this dispensation to go away with his friends. And I suspect the reason is as I stated, that...
But you have concerns, don't you, Ian, about image and the image that he has to project internationally?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the big problem at the moment is what I call the golden triangle. You know, William, Harry and Kate are being processed into this sort of tangible, focused, almost like Hollywood stars in order to actually sort of create the attention for Britain. And they are brand Britain. There's no two ways about it. I think that that's the problem, is that they're actually trying to, and their people around them are trying to control their brand, their image. Because I suppose I liken it to almost a Hollywood star. You will see a Hollywood star when he's got or she's got a film to promote. Then there's value. If they're seen all the time, the problem is then, across the world, they lose that intrinsic visual value as well. And I think they have to be careful.
Or maybe we're just in a time where actually your brand and your image is much more than only your professional, you know, that in fact it adds value to them to be seen as people, to be young, functioning people in a normal way with friends and family, and when, you know, when it's they are on call all the time. They are on duty all the time. I think it's fantastic to see. We've had a tiny little glimpse. I'd rather not have seen it because I'd rather he could have a really private life. But to be able to see that these people, you know, of course he can go out dancing, and we all look a bit stupid sometimes.
Deborah has just tweeted 20 seconds ago, the person who's forwarded this video of him should be arrested, leave him alone. Well, the person will not have done anything illegal, but as you say, it's an insight which we shouldn't have had.
Yep. And you know, you see people coming through doors with the flashing lights, and, you know, I will go back to Diana again. You know, she was head down, onto her hat, under her hair. The pressure of that was absolutely unbearable. He was born into this role. He didn't choose this role. And we as a society actually do, I think we do have a responsibility to look after people like that and make sure we treat them well. I run a mental health website called Headcase, and I'm very, very fascinated by the pressure that young people are under with social media and all of this. They can't get away from it. He does a lot of work, both of them. Of course, we know that they represent mental health, you know, campaigns and stuff very openly and publicly. There's a very good reason, I suspect, why he particularly does. I think it's wonderful. And I think, far from devaluing brand Britain and the royal family, I think it adds a huge extra side to them. And for young people in our country, I think that's great.
I think my timeline and Stephen's timeline would agree with you on that one as well. Thank you both very much indeed. Really interesting to get your perspectives, and indeed anyone that's got in touch with us this morning on this debate. We always appreciate your take on these things. We do indeed. Stay with us here on Sky News. Still to come, we're looking at the man who is free after 32 years behind bars, cleared of a murder that he always said he never committed.